I'm a bad motherfucker.
Okay, so there's a notion in physics. Every action has a positive reaction, as the Jimmy Dore logo is demonstrating there in real time. I am Russell Dobular, sitting in for Jimmy, who's performing in El Paso, Texas tonight, joined by Mr. Keaton Weiss.
Hi there.
So you might know that we have broken all of the underpinnings of the strength of the dollar in the way that we have handled Russia. Briefly, after World War II, there was what is called the Bretton Woods Agreement made between the major world powers. And the upshot is the dollar would be the stable reserve currency, that it would replace the pound. And part of that agreement is you don't weaponize the dollar, right? Because once you weaponize the dollar, people can't trust the dollar anymore. But we did not stick with that in our wisdom under Joe Biden. We decided to weaponize the dollar, which, as you might have heard, has led to a lot of de-dollarization. A lot of countries are reducing their dollar reserves. They don't want to buy as many U.S. treasuries. In conjunction with China, Russia has found a lot of workarounds to being cut off from the American and Western financial system. So now the U.S. is upping the ante. They've approved a bill in the House to transfer seized Russian assets to Ukraine. So how do you think Russia is going to react? Oh, Russian court orders seizure of JP Morgan Chase funds in VTB lawsuit. A Russian court has ordered the seizure of funds in JP Morgan Chase bank accounts in Russia, court filings showed on Wednesday, in a lawsuit filed by a state-owned bank, VTB, as it seeks to regain funds blocked abroad. JP Morgan Chase last week sued VTB in New York to halt its efforts to recover $439.5 million from an account that was blocked after Russia dispatched its army to Ukraine in 2022 and VTB was hit with sanctions. The Arbitration Court of St. Petersburg said it had ordered the seizure of all funds in JP Morgan bank accounts in Russia, including correspondent accounts and those opened in the name of a subsidiary. The court said it had not seized securities and property held by JP Morgan funds or the jpmorgan.ru domain. In a complaint filed in federal court in Manhattan earlier this month, JP Morgan described VTB's attempt to recover the money in Russia as a blatant breach of its agreement to have disputes addressed in New York. The largest U.S. bank said U.S. law prohibits it from releasing the $439.5 million, and VTB, Russia's second largest bank, will try to seize its assets abroad if it prevails in the Russia lawsuit. It said VTB's prospects there were good, with Russian courts having granted at least 6 other Russian banks relief against U.S. and European banks that were required to comply with sanctions laws. This is Douglas McGregor. Putin, Lavrov, and Peskov are talking tough. Americans should expect that Moscow will sanction or seize any remaining business in Russia. Moscow just seized $449 million from JP Morgan Chase in retaliation for Biden seizing $5 billion of Russian assets in the U.S. banking system. Russia will also move to hike the price of oil and gas. That will cause the most pain in the EU. In California, gas prices just jumped over $7 a gallon. Meanwhile, Ukrainian army is losing 500 to 800 soldiers a day, and the Russian offensive has not even started. Okay, so yes, and some are saying that the U.S. taking this action is really aimed at getting the EU to take the same action, because we have 5% of Russian Western assets, while the EU, according to what I've read, holds 95%, which would be much more impactful on them. Keaton?
Well, this is just some good news, I guess, right? A heartwarming story. Russia seizing the assets, right? It's been a rough week. I think we need a pick me up of sorts, and so good on them.
Yes. I wonder why they're ignoring the stipulation that they have to settle disputes with the U.S. in the U.S.
Right.
I wonder why they're doing that. Yeah, this is going to, when the history is written, be proven to be perhaps the greatest strategic blunder we committed in this entire string of decisions, weaponizing the dollar. There's no going back from that. The country is already hollowed out. We have no meaningful manufacturing base. Our entire economy is built on financialization, which is essentially smoke and mirrors, dependent on the leveraging of military might to force other countries to supply us with cheap labor and materials. And as soon as that goes away, there's not much left there. What we did have was the dollar being the world's reserve currency, and we couldn't have done anything to make the world lose faith in the dollar more than what we have done.
Yeah. No, this country has really turned in. I've made this analogy in the past. I don't think I've ever made it on this show, so maybe this will be the first time any of you hear it. This is real. Like this country is the New York Yankees at this point. Like, we are the greatest country on earth. Why? How? Because we say we are? I mean, every Yankee game you hear is the greatest sports franchise in history, which is true historically. They've won one World Series in the last 23 years, and that was one that they basically bought the year before. They suck. They suck. They're a fat, decadent, lazy organization that doesn't win anymore. That's what we are.
Okay. Misha,
And, we're all going to die, so.
Okay, we're just going to do one more segment. It's going to be a fun one about the WEF.
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle-diddle-diddle-digga-digga-diddle-diddle-dum, all day long along, I diddle little bums. If I were a schmooly man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish schmooly man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate shitty coffee? I, for one, really hate shitty coffee, which is why I'm excited to introduce to you a company that's revolting against shitty coffee, and it's called the 1775 Coffee Company. Now, I haven't had it yet because I only drink decaf. Steph has had it. Steph, how do you like it?
I really like it. You know what? I have a French press, and so I've been using my French press and totally enjoying it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's smooth.
So 1775, the world in 1775, the world awakened to a new era. And now it's 1775 Coffee Company is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee beans farms of Bolivia. Didn't know that. 1775 Coffee Company's farm-to-cup journey ensures the highest quality of authenticity and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-sourced brew. 1775 Coffee Company takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection. But their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee Company has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all your senses, including the sense of freedom. So choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/litter. That's LITTER, and use the code LITTER for 10% off the checkout on your first order. 1775 Coffee, brewed to perfection, crafted with revolution.